Welcome back to a podcast by Chiefs fans who are probably not cool.
I mean, like people can decide that. I think
Right.
it's very like there's few things less cool than saying you are cool. So we're not going to say that we are cool.
Mm,
And I mean, it's not that cool to say you're uncool. So
yeah.
maybe that's not a cool thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean like if you're taking all the things that we do or don't do, like that is you're uncool just because you say you're uncool. Like that would be uncool to say. So
Yeah.
I
But we
think
definitely were Chiefs fans before we
def
were or weren't cool.
correct.
Yes.
Correct. We've been Chiefs fans for life. And so don't call us bandwagoners. Don't call us don't call us any of those other, you're just whatever, part of the, mob appeal. Like, we're not just going with the crowd. We're not Swifties. I mean, you might call yourself a Swiftie,
Well,
but
yeah,
like we're definitely not Chiefs fans because of Taylor Swift.
yeah.
And
Taylor Swift's a Chiefs fans because of us. No, wait, that's not right either.
that's not no, no, no. No, 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 no. But we are Chiefs fans and we are excited to talk about another game. What
Yeah.
a game. That
Before we jump into
was
it though, I gotta just say real quick.
okay.
Um, Anyone looking for a video last week? My bad. We recorded later than normal, and it just slipped my mind to do editing. I was gonna do it later because I didn't want to stay up any or the next day because I didn't want to stay up any later, and I forgot. So my plan is, I don't know if YouTube will let me do it, but I'm gonna just try to stick that episode from last week on the end of this video, and it'll be like a super mega video of Chiefs
Wow.
fans.
If you want to learn about our predictions after it's happened, which is maybe a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we predicted for the Broncos game, but
Well, it definitely was
Chiefs
winning,
victory.
but not in that fashion.
Not in that fashion. Yeah, we are not prophets. Yeah, no, I think, did we talk about like the NFL is rigged conversations? I just had a lot this conversations this week about that or scripted.
We didn't, but we could talk about that.
Yeah, I think I might have said this on podcast before, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. It would be really funny if I'm repeating myself in the video you're about to watch after this video, the mega video. That'd be a
Mega
little
video.
awkward, but um look, the way conspiracies work, like the more people who are involved, the harder it is for it to be true, like to be kept a secret,
Hmm.
not come out at some point. So if you're saying the Chiefs have paid off the refs over the course of the last several years, right? 5, 6 years, and that the NFL is pushing all this stuff because of Taylor Swift or because of whatever, whatever, and you have some photo of a ref pointing a certain direction where the guy's running, and it makes it look like that ref is telling him to go that way. First off, I really want to question your news feed and what other videos you're watching because that's no, like just don't get into those. Don't get sucked into it. Like it's like how many people would have to be involved to keep that a cover up is astronomical. And there's so much money on the NFL. There's so much so many people are betting dollars in this. Like there's just no way that the NFL could keep this a secret among all the refs or high executives and all the other people like players, like if you assume players are in part of it, like it's just that they don't work. Like you think of like Watergate, there was like 7 people and
Hmm.
it came out. Like
Yeah.
it's just like it's just you can't
Yes. If
like, and that was a president. Like that is a president of the United States, that much power and control. And so unless you think that the commissioner has more power than the president of the United States and more power and sway over like these things. Like certain things can be covered up and but they're not this public. There's no way they're going to
yeah,
be this kind of public
if
and
like he said, if Watergate with Richard Nixon, or I think if the scandal with Bill Gates, if both of those came out, or not Bill Gates, sorry, Bill Clinton,
Bill
the
Clinton.
the
Bill Gates.
funny,
What do
uh,
you know about Bill Gates?
Bill
There's
Clinton,
our clickbait for this
yeah,
video. The
um,
secrets of Bill Gates.
The if that can be kept secret, think how could this? And the other thing is like, yeah, I
What's the
also just
incentive? Like
yeah,
like the other big thing is like the Chiefs are a small market team. Now, with Taylor Swift coming in now, they're saying like whatever, but like we're a small market team. Like they would much rather if they're gonna rig it, they would 100% be rigging it for a bigger market. Like if it was all about making money.
yeah,
They would make more money in New York. They would make more money in LA. They would make more money rigging it for just a much bigger market team
yeah.
than
And
just random team in the middle
the
of the
thing is,
US.
we've all complained about things at different times. It changes my perspective on the Patriots, now
Yeah,
being in the newest dynasty. But the thing is, like, also, if complaining about ref calls or games being rigged, if that's your only way to justify your team losing, like, I guess go ahead. But it's also
yeah,
like, if the NFL is rigged, it probably has always been rigged. So that means when your team was good, it was probably rigged then too.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
um,
it's
but
agree.
the bigger thing is, I think why the Chiefs blocked the field goal. Like, I can't remember who was it that actually got the tip.
Chanel.
Chanel. But if you look at the video, a lot of Chiefs, like the line, really overwhelmed the Broncos line. And so I think just happened
Yeah,
was at the end of the game, the Broncos got complacent and was like, we got this game. And the Chiefs fought harder and they got through because like the Broncos got decimated on blocking that play.
yeah,
Like one
yeah.
player got it, but there was a lot of players got through.
Right. Well, what I've heard since then is that Leo Chanel called that play because of the Broncos player on that side. They overloaded the side of a player that had been getting beat up by players, like blocked, knocked over, like things
Hmm.
like that. Like that player had been getting beat up. I forget the name of the Broncos player, but it was an intentional thing. Now, was it still lucky, even with that planning and that knowledge?
Hmm.
Yes. Like this was a game you would 100% as a Chiefs fan should say was we were lucky to come out with a win. And I think it like again, this doesn't show up, but like Andy Reid not going for 7, going for 3 on fourth down and like 2, and against a better team, maybe that bites us, right? Or like it could have beat us in this team, right? Like the Broncos. So like we did get lucky, but it wasn't the rest. Like, like if you look at the statistics, you can look it up. How many calls go for against the Chiefs during the fourth quarter of close games? And you could do that for the last 5 years, and you would realize it's average, right?
Yeah.
It's more if I've heard it slightly favors the other teams actually. So like it's just there's no data for it. There's no real information unless you want to trust some random picture of a ref doing something. But there's so many better explanations of why the ref was pointing there. One, just
Hmm.
like, hey, look, there's the play, like watching the play, like, or he's pointing to something where he thinks it's maybe going to be a foul or it was a foul, like holding kind of thing. Like, who knows? People do
Yeah.
stuff. Like, but
Yep.
yeah, stuff like that.
And honestly, as someone, I could say this, as someone who gets too invested in football games sometimes, like we should take a step back. If you're getting so angry that all you can think of is it must be rigged against me, then like maybe you should take a break for a little bit from football. Like come back in,
Yeah,
10 years when Mahomes
yeah.
retires, and then like maybe you'll have more fun.
Yeah, I do tell people sometimes like, look, if you're going to be mad every time the Chiefs win, you're going to be mad a lot in your life.
You might be mad for the rest of forever,
You
you
might
know?
be mad for a significant portion of Sundays for the next, however long.
Christmas
Um,
Day,
Christmas Day. Well, maybe not Christmas Day. Maybe you had a good Christmas Day last year. I did not. Now we play the Raiders in Thanksgiving or
uh
the Black Friday, so
yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Okay, Brother Wonders. Let's go through them maybe a little quickly since we had that little spiel about the rigness or not. Uh, with all the injuries on both teams, should this game be called the Backup Bowl?
Hmm.
No.
No.
I don't. I mean, we have injuries, but everybody's got a lot of injuries here. I really don't think. Like, I think we have some critical injuries, but I don't think it's like there are other teams that are more decimated. Like, you think of all the teams that like lost their entire offensive lines.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like there's a few teams like that in the NFL right now that like it just depends on who's getting injured, right?
Yeah.
Like receivers, we've mostly replaced them. Kareem's doing great as a fill-in for Pacheco. Hopefully he comes
Yeah.
back week
But
12 or 13, but we'll see.
that does give me a good idea.
Yeah.
They should do every year
Yep.
a backup bowl that goes like with the Pro Bowl,
Yeah.
where it's all the backups and the quarterback of the winning team, the team that
Yeah.
gets the worst record in the division has to sign
Ooh.
them as their backup quarterback.
Okay. Backup bowl. Nora's question, what Chiefs players would make the best Disney prince?
Mm. Um, well, last year I would have said Tommy Townsend. This year I'd say Carson Steele. I think he just has Prince-like hair, you know? Princes have good hair.
Yeah, I mean he could do that whole like woodsy prince,
Yeah.
maybe. Their answer was Harrison Butker because he has little girls.
Mm.
Um,
He has a nice
they like
beard
the
too.
idea of princesses. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who should be a prince. Maybe like um maybe like why do I think Chris Jones or something? Like a
Mm.
Disney prince? I mean, Mahomes with his little froggy voice. I don't doesn't feel very good. Maybe Travis Kelce. I mean, like if he and Taylor Swift work out, he's basically a prince. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, man. There's a lot of ones there. Um, which Chiefs players would make the best turkey, do you think?
Probably one of the O linemen.
Like big good turkey.
Mm.
Good turkey.
I'll say Taylor.
Taylor.
Because turkeys are a little bit like fidgety and and he's a little quick off the line.
A little quick
Yeah.
off the line. It's pretty good. How do you think Butker's injury will affect third and fourth down decision making?
Yeah. I mean, do we know? I've had a busy week. Do we know who they signed to kick in the meantime?
Yeah. So, I just had it up. It's kind of a different name. Um, the not looking for Ger- Spencer Schrader.
All right. No idea who that is.
Yeah, no, he's kicked just in two NFL teams, right? And he played for the Jets and Colts. He's kind of been the backup. He's been replacing injured people this year.
I
So,
feel like, in my opinion, where it will have the most impact, because I think obviously anybody can miss extra points. Justin Tucker missed an extra point
yeah,
not too long ago. And so like that, it's where I think it's longer field goals. I think it could affect the play call on
the 40-yard line
the
or something.
40-yard line. Or like, for instance, if it's 45 or more field goal, it also would affect the play call on third down, I think, because if you get to 4th and 1, you might think, well, if it would be good field position for them, we're not going to go for it, but we're also not going to kick a field goal. So like you might see punts there. I would like to see him go for it there, but I do think I think it has the potential to affect play calling and what we do on fourth down on longer yardage. I think if they think he can make field goals, they'll still go for it in the range where you're expecting to make them more often.
Red zone, yeah, for the 20
Yeah.
yard chip shots. Yeah, like there's no reason like go change there. I do think I see the Chiefs going a little bit more towards aggressiveness. I think they understand that they can't be too conservative, especially as they play better teams.
Yeah.
So, but when you're playing a bad team, like you want the 3 points. I think Andy Reid just is kind of like they're a bad like,
Hmm.
no offense, our defense is pretty good, and so when you face a team that's not very good, you get 3 points and you'll probably win. If you go for it and don't get it and you get 0 points, then you might lose, right? Like the idea is points are more valuable when you're playing a bad team or like just a few points anyway. So like you just don't have as much reward for getting a bunch of extra points. The Chiefs have never really been a team to really push like scoring lots and lots of points on anybody they're facing, right? Since
Yeah.
Mahomes' first year, they've just haven't functioned that way. They don't blow teams out. Some people really talk about the Chiefs' point differential. Um, it's not very much, but it's I think they've all been calculated, right? And some of
Mhm.
the games it's been like they gave up a garbage touchdown. There's been a few of those because they're already up by two scores and it doesn't really
Mhm.
matter. It's more important that you just don't lose don't give up a quick touchdown and then suddenly you might lose, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been in some of those, and I just think they're not all about fancy scoring stuff. Like
Yeah.
you think about the Dolphins just getting all these points, or even the Cowboys when like their offense was good a couple years ago, getting all these points, and it seemed like they were just kind of like, we're gonna look how cool we are, look at all these things, and then they come to the postseason and they have nothing. Like they get shut down because everybody
Yeah.
knows all their tricks, and the Chiefs
Well, yeah.
don't show all their tricks,
The
and they
Dolphins
don't go
racked
for it.
up points against bad teams last year, especially like the
That's true.
Broncos. And
Yep.
they lost to pretty much every good team. Like most
Yep.
teams that were, but besides, I think they beat the Cowboys, but every other team that had
Yep.
a winning record beat them.
Yep.
Um, so scoring
Yeah.
points doesn't matter. Wins matter.
Wins matter. Good. So we think wins will still matter as far as kickers, and I do agree that there'll probably be less 50-yard field goals, which have kind of become super common in the NFL. But they might try it once or twice,
Hmm.
um, just to see what the kid has. But I agree, probably be there. Do you think we should have traded for a left tackle before the deadline?
I just feel like our cap space is like zero, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think trade for it. I think you like if you're really that nervous, you sign one of the few David
Yeah.
Bakhtiari or our left tackle from last year, Donovan Smith.
Yeah.
They're out there. Like you kind of do what we did with our defensive tackle last year before the playoffs, right? If you need it, and then there, uh, what's his name? Do you know what I mean? The guy that we signed that was
Oh
old
yeah. Um,
and we re-signed.
I can't remember right now.
Not Nandi. Mike
But
Pennell.
oh right.
Mike Pennell. So Mike Pennell, like it'd be a thing like that. You'd sign him towards the end, like if Wanye got hurt
Hmm.
and Mike and you could sign Donovan Smith and he would know the offense and he would survive.
Yeah. And
He wouldn't
honestly,
thrive.
besides a couple of times where we're going against really good edge rushers,
Yeah,
our line is doing pretty good. I think the bigger problem is our receiving core up until recently doesn't have enough depth, so
yeah,
they can't get open. So it's like it doesn't necessarily matter how good the line's like you're not expecting the line for to block for 10 seconds,
yep,
You're expecting them to block for 4 seconds.
yep.
So
So maybe Juju comes back this week. I don't know if that's
yeah.
confirmed or confirmed not or I think it was questionable last I checked. And then with Hopkins, as we talked about in the last video, and Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy. I mean, it just seems like he's kind of now MVS, the new MVS, but he is a rookie, and that's okay. Like it's okay if that's kind of how he functions right now. Hopefully, we'll get Hollywood Brown back
Yeah.
for the playoffs. So everything's kind of rolling.
All
Yeah.
right. So was that the last? Are you out of done with Brother Wonders?
Uh, nope. Just lots of
Oh,
questions this time.
all right. Um, so on to the Bills game.
Yep. Unless there was something else you want to talk about the Broncos.
Mm, honestly, I didn't get to watch the game. I followed the game
Yeah.
cast because this really annoys me. Like I pay for Paramount Plus,
Yeah.
but the market
It
game
was
for
still
us was the
blocked on Paramount
Steelers.
Plus.
It
Yeah.
was, and so it's kind of dumb to me that like, first of all, to watch every game now, unless you get like
You
NFL Sunday
have to
Ticket or
have.
whatever, you have to have all these streaming services. Like the Christmas game this year's on Netflix, but it's like,
Yeah.
but then some days, even if you have it, you can't watch the game.
Yeah,
So,
that's ridiculous to me. Like there should be a way to like blackout. I'm not in charge of blackouts, but because I live in Dallas and the Cowboys are an MSC team, they black out a lot of some of the games. And so anyway, so you have to like it basically, like you said, it has to be NFL Sunday ticket. Um, and so anyway, that's annoying.
mhm.
I agree. But yeah, so the game, I would just say, having watched it, was okay. The Broncos are like they have a good defense. Like you give
Mhm.
them credit. They did they did a good job of holding us to not a lot of points. Like we've already talked about some of the conservatism that maybe we could have gone for it again, but we did go for it on fourth earlier in the game to get the touchdown. So that was really good. Bo Nick seems like a competent game manager, like maybe has like a little bit of a, it'd be a little bit too much to say something like a Brock Purdy, but like, a really good, maybe a Sam Darnold
Mhm.
kind of thing. Hopefully he doesn't get schemed out, but Sean Payton's actually doing a pretty good job of being a coach and has kind of proved himself to be still somewhat competent in what he's doing after the Russell Wilson debacle last year. So
Yeah.
I think the Broncos might give us a good challenge. I kind of like it. I want the AFC to stop being a dumpster. Like it's just kind of I don't know. I want the Chargers to do well. Like it's just kind of one of those things where it's like there, except for the Raiders. Raiders can still be terrible. They can
Yeah.
be terrible, but like it's I think it's better when the division's stronger. It keeps you sharper. And ultimately we're not always fighting for the one seed. Like we might get it either way. Um, and I would rather just have a little bit better competition coming up to it. So anyway, that's my
Yeah.
thoughts about that.
All right. Well, we got a one of two or three games that are tough remaining.
Yep,
The Bills.
Bills.
Is it in Buffalo or is it in Kansas City? I
I
can't remember.
think it's Buffalo. Guy on a Buffalo. Anyway, yeah. So it's at Buffalo. Yep.
So obviously I would love to keep the undefeated alive, but the if past tells us anything, we'll probably lose this game and then beat them in the playoffs. And I'd
Yeah.
rather do it that way than the other way, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think everybody would do that. I think the Bills would make that trade too.
Yeah.
They might punt on this game just so that they can win. It's like no, that's not how that works. Uh, but like no, I mean the Chiefs save a lot of stuff for the postseason. That's another reason why we don't score all the points. We hold back tricks all the time against good teams. Now we'll throw out a few more things because you do need to try to win every game. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I just hope it's kind of high scoring. I hope it's really fun. I saw some random thing on my feed, Facebook feed that talked about how the last time there was two teams with this kind of record met, it was the Chiefs and the Rams in 2018,
Mm.
where we had that 51-54 game. Like,
Yeah.
let's have some fireworks. Like I keep saying this all the time. Now the Chiefs defense is pretty good. The Broncos are pretty good. Or sorry, the Bills are really good, like defense. Probably not gonna happen. But
Do you
come
know, do they
on.
play a lot
Like,
of zone?
hey, look, if the NFL is rigged, who doesn't want a shootout between Chiefs and Bills this
Yeah.
Sunday? Who
You
doesn't?
know,
So if it
I just
does
hope they play a
happen,
lot of
I'm
zone
gonna be
defense.
happy and you can still say whatever you want, I guess. But if it doesn't happen, let's stop the chatter about NFL being rigged and be sad we didn't have a good, real fun fireworks game.
Now, I'm not claiming this is my prediction, but I had a dream
Yeah.
the other night that the Chiefs won 64 to 48.
Oh my word.
I was
Well,
like, what kind of game like, and in the dream, Patrick Mahomes had like 400 yards and like two touchdowns. And I was like, how did we score that many points then? Like, what on earth happened?
it was rigged, man. They were just
Like
like, let's,
Kareem Hunt is like 700 yards, 5 touchdowns. Like,
man, that would be nuts, man.
yeah. So,
That would be nuts. So yeah, it's a good time. Good time to be Chiefs fan. So loving all the stuff, loving all the things, and
mhm.
hopefully the Chiefs Bills game is there. I agree with you. I think it's a good matchup. The Bills have bounced back. I
Yeah,
think at the beginning of the year, again, take your L, be honest about what you did. I'm pretty sure I was kind of like, I'm not so sure about the Bills. They lost a lot of their defensive players. Like, are they still going to be good? Well coached teams generally do
yeah,
well. And having an elite quarterback generally helps your team do really well.
yeah.
So the Bills have had an elite quarterback with a decent head coach. Again, we've kind of talked about maybe the postseason not as strong, but um,
I think like one thing we got going for us, as I know this is true for the Ravens and Steelers, I think it's for the Bills too, but of the three teams that are in a position to catch us, obviously we have the tiebreaker on the Ravens for
yeah,
seeding. But I think the Bills and the Steelers have
yeah,
much harder schedules remaining than we do.
that is true.
Like
Yeah,
our
the
schedule is
Steelers
really front
schedule.
loaded.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at the Steeler defense for fantasy purposes, and I was like, oh, they've been really, really good, but they also haven't really played a whole lot of really good teams.
Yeah.
So, um, we'll see if they're legit. They might. I think they probably are, but it's probably not as tough of a stonewall as you might think.
Hmm.
And we'll see how their offense goes. There's a lot of Russell Wilson moon balls going on right now. And George Pickens is really good at getting 50-50. He's like
Hmm.
80-20. But I mean, you double cover it. Like there's ways to make it not a 50-50 even. And then what happens to that
Yeah.
offense?
The good thing is it's also an 80-20 for Chris Jones beating the block. So
Mr. Jones, man. Mr. Jones gonna get in Mr. Wilson's head.
mm,
Yeah, it's a good time. I'm excited for this game, and I think we're in the front seat for a bye. Like we talked about the tough games on the schedule. So the Steelers and the Bills. Is there any other one that you kind of have?
the only other one I think we play the Broncos last game of the season, and it's like
Okay.
that
Well,
game could be hard because it's division, but also we might not have anything to play for left at that point.
no, we are also. I have to give a shout out to the Texans
Oh yeah.
as well. So we do have the Texans. Oh my word, yeah, that streak of games and all around there. Oh, so gross. Um,
We win
but
this week though, I think it's hard for anyone to catch us, really,
yeah, it's true.
because
I mean, because then we got
because
we got Panthers, Raiders, Chargers. Chargers might be good. We could drop that one. I don't see us dropping Browns. Tex Steelers, especially in all that compressed time where you have
mhm,
holidays and everything else, might be a distraction for players. That could be tough.
yeah.
But yeah, I think we are in the front seat because if you look at AFC teams, we are we're ahead. Like everybody has at least two losses, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, so everybody else has two losses.
We control
So
our own
kind of
destiny.
so kind of like my fantasy team in our league. I control we could That's just kidding.
Ouch.
Ouch.
That hurt
Uh,
just like all my players getting hurt. Hurt.
I hurt like all your players, man. Fantasy is not always so kind to people, you know.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
I complained all last year about how my team scored like 100 more points than everybody, and I didn't make the playoffs.
it's like this year your fantasy is like a sparkly rainbow place, and my fantasy is like Gotham or something like that.
Okay,
Like,
mine is not like necessarily.
okay.
It's doing all right. We're plugging along. We got a shot. I feel like all my teams have a shot to win it all. My two teams that I play. So that's for fantasy. That's all I care about. Because like ultimately you can't control it. The guy who's been the heavy favorite in our league for the last like 5 years hasn't won. So
That's true.
that's like. it's all kind of random, especially as you get in once you're in the playoffs, then it's really random.
Hmm.
And so we'll see. Hopefully, I can pull out a win. I had a couple of dry years. I had a really good year a few years ago, and then I had a bad draft in one of my leagues, and I had the league this last year. Uh, 2 years ago, so 3 years ago, I was able to pull out some wins. 3 years ago, I had the by far best teams in all my leagues, and then I barely lost in the championship in like all of them. Like all my teams got the playoffs. All of them went like, except for one went to the championship, and then I won like one championship, and it was with a bunch of randos, so it didn't
Mm.
even matter.
Well,
And so like, yeah,
I'm not going to
anyway.
wish you luck in our league, but I'll wish you luck in the
No,
others.
okay, okay. Well, I mean, you could always just hope that Chris continues his losing streak, and
Yeah,
then you
Chris,
sneak in
continue
there.
your losing streak.
That's right. You don't. It doesn't have to be me.
I think
Hypothetically, we have
if
the same
should
number of
we
wins and
should we
losses now.
should we bet Chris's house on whether or not he makes it to the playoffs?
Yeah, you could upset either of us if we, depending on how the games fall. So,
Okay, I bet Chris's house that he's making it to the playoffs. So if he
okay.
makes it to the playoffs, I get his house. I think is how it works.
I think it makes a little bit more sense now.
Yeah,
He's kind of
your move,
like that.
Chris. Do you want a
Your
house or do you want
move,
to win?
Chris. All right. Well, I'll look forward to see ya
Yep.
next
See ya.
week, and hope you all enjoy this double feature. Double feature.
Double
Two
feature.
hands for two features. Uh, let's get some wins. Come
Shouldn't
on,
it be 2 feet
Chiefs.
for two features?
All for the shootout. All for the
All for
shootout.
the shootout.
Woo!
Six,
Here we go.
68 to 40, or yeah, 68 to
68 to 40.
48.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
64 to 48. Yeah, it's absolutely. Let's go for that.
All
Love
right.
it. Lock it in. Lock it in. Bet Chris's house on it.
Bet Chris's house. All right. See you next time.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Chiefs fans before we were cool. A
Yep.
podcast that comes with a built-in secret handshake that's not a secret because it's on national TV every week.
I saw him do it briefly. The before our last scoring drive or like one of the plays, like a third down, I think, on their last or sorry, not their last overtime, but like the last regulation.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, look, he gave us a shout out.
Yeah.
It's totally not the other way around.
Yeah, totally. Totally not.
Anyway, yep. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to
And
be
you know
chasing.
what? I'll tell you what. The Chiefs know how to make games fun for everybody who's not stressed and I know how to make them stressful yet satisfying for fans.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to be sending him some bills
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
some counselors that I've needed after this.
Yep.
Um, so my family has been chatting, thanks to my mom, um, who grew up in Denver and so was a Broncos fan, and so that was always kind of a thing growing up that we would cheer for the Chiefs most of the time because dad cared about football more. But mom also was from Denver. So when Denver did well, we actually watched the Super Bowls with Elway, um, which
Mm.
were kind of fun. And so now the debate is like, would it be better for us now to have been Broncos fans this whole time and had better childhood days of cheering between Elway and then even Peyton Manning, the two that he got to the Super Bowl he went to, which was really sad, and then the other Super Bowl um, that they won?
Mm.
Or is it better to be a Chiefs fan because now we're on top and we're dominating? And I'm still pretty sure I'd rather be a Chiefs fan. And the
Yeah.
fact that I was a Chiefs fan before I was cool, um, is something that I get to point out. And the fact that
Hmm.
I was a fan when it was really sad, helps, my thoughts and ideas, they were forged in the fires of defeat and mediocre quarterbacks and bad head coach hires and
Yep.
a team that could never have a good offense and defense at the same time, which has still kind of been true sometimes in the Mahomes eras. But now
Yeah.
we're pretty balanced, which is something we could talk about for sure
Yeah.
in this
I mean,
game.
it's like definitely more stressful to be a football fan as an adult than as a kid, but also I think that, you know, the enjoyment from watching championships is more satisfying as an adult. So I think that's the right
Mm.
choice. So I'm just glad that your mom wasn't a Raiders fan. So then I
Because
don't know
then
if,
we would have to have some
yeah,
hard conversations.
yeah, oof, that'd be tough.
Yep. So any initial reactions from the game first, and
Yeah.
then we can jump into Brother Wonders.
Well, obviously the Chiefs pulled it out in the end. I will say that Baker Mayfield is playing a heck of a season,
Yeah.
especially with his quarterback or his receiver situation being not unlike ours.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, we just had a new trade because we're in a position to go for it. But
Hmm.
he's playing some really good football. Um,
Hmm.
Now, granted, the ball bounces a couple ways. The game might not have been that close. Kelsey doesn't fumble, things like that. But they fought, and it actually looked like the best. They like played the best against our defense than most teams this year.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good point. Yeah.
so yeah,
I mean, like you said, especially considering they didn't have their two primary receivers.
yeah,
Yeah, really good. Welcome to our world, Bucks, losing all the receivers, but
yeah,
um, yeah. So they did a good game, and they came back, tied it. We had some shots at stopping them,
yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe our prevent defense is still a little soft. I just feel prevent defenses in general are too soft.
yeah.
Like I
Well, it's
just like I mean, you do have to stop them 4 times. So there's
yeah,
a little bit of a difference, right? Because they always have to go for it on fourth. Whereas in a normal drive, if you stop them 3rd down and 3, you did your job,
yeah.
right? Generally.
And like
Um,
last week, they scored and then had a chance for the onside kick, right? But it was like in that instance, the defense's job was basically just don't give up big plays, make them chew as much clock as possible.
right.
Was kind of the
Last
thought,
week
but
we played it right. Like it
yeah,
is the way to do it. I think in general, in a situation where it's a 1-score game, I don't know. Um, so let's go to, well, actually, because it's on topic, I just wanted to double check to make sure it wasn't one of the questions we'd be asking later. Um, do you think the Bucks should have gone for 2?
the thing is, it's one of those things where if you go for two and you get it, you look brilliant. If you
Hmm.
go for two and you fail, you look like you made a really bad decision. And I also think it sends a message we don't think our defense can stop them, which at that point was actually true. One does not simply stop Mahomes in overtime. I would say, with how good the Chiefs are against the run, you probably would feel better about the 50% chance you have at winning the coin toss than one play to make or lose the game, in my opinion. But
Yeah. I mean, their plays were working pretty well down the
yeah,
field. I
yeah,
don't know. I probably would have gone for 2. I think you end the game. You don't give Holmes a chance.
hmm
Like you said, even a coin toss, because even if they get the coin toss, getting down the field and having to get a touchdown isn't a guarantee. And then
yeah.
Mahomes just goes back and gets a touchdown, right?
It's a hard thing because I think going for two is the better thing, but I also feel like going for two, and if you fail it, that's the kind of thing that people use again. Like as a coach, it's like if the season doesn't go well, that's the thing they point to. Like he made reckless decisions, like.
Maybe.
But depends if you want to
I feel like that would be
win
one where
games.
nobody would like blame the coach. Like there's times like
Yeah.
we talked about like Detroit Lions where they went for fourth down all the time instead of getting free field goals in
Hmm.
the NFC Championship or something.
Yeah,
Um, like there's a big gap between that and not going for two in that situation.
that's true.
Facing a team that already did just drive down your defense, get 7 points.
Yeah.
But again, getting into overtime, to your point, like our defense was probably pretty tired. If you get the coin toss and then get a push against the same defense, maybe they felt good. You
Yeah.
know, they
Hmm.
were moving down the field. So it's uh it's a difficult call. I think when you're the underdog, you should go for it.
Yeah.
If you're the favorite, then you should go for overtime. And I feel like the Bucks were the underdogs. So
Yeah.
I hot take. The
And
Bucks were
probably if they had Mike Evans or Chris Godwin in, they probably would
yeah,
have gone for two. That's the other thing is
good point.
you think like, okay, you have a run game, but do we feel like we have receivers that could win quickly? Because if they think your only option is to run, then, you know,
Yeah,
so
maybe. I mean, they had that play to Kate Otten early in the game, like a trick play, and it
yeah.
worked brilliantly. And there was like something like that could have maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's go to Brother Wonders.
All right.
Why does it seem like our defense plays poorly when our offense plays well?
Yeah. I don't know. I think, like I used to like when I was younger, thought like people talking about like momentum was not as big of a deal as it is. But
Hmm.
like longer I've been watching football, the more I think it is. And I also think there's a thing like the defense seems to step up when they're like, we've got to keep us in this game.
Well,
I also think I also think how you call the defense when your offense isn't scoring well versus how you call plays when they are is different.
mhm.
Um, yeah, that's kind of my basic thoughts. What about you?
I mean, you have two professional teams that are trying to win. I mean, I think what you said about last week is clear. Like, we gave them the 7 points because that was the safest way to win that game,
Hmm.
was to not make a mistake, keep everything way in front of you, and then if they get it with less than 2 minutes to go, the onside kick with no timeouts, right? Like they have to get an onside kick, which is very unlikely.
Hmm.
And even then, they would have to make some big plays. So
Yeah.
I think there's a level in which we just kind of are like, I think as the Chiefs, we don't run up scores like Bills or some of these other teams, Ravens. And you can see how sometimes the way that those teams play allow them to get like blown out at various times, even by kind
Yeah.
of bad teams or lose to bad teams.
Yeah.
Um,
Because their
and
defense is on the field for the majority of the game. Either they score real
right,
quickly.
because you're going for the strikes and you're doing these fancy things, and then just sometimes if it goes wrong, it goes really wrong, or you get a lot of three and outs or things like that. So I think the Chiefs play knowing they're the better team, and what that means for them is not running up the score, rather playing to win the game.
Hmm.
And they do a good job of doing that. Like I'm pretty sure the Patriots did the exact same thing. I think there's a lot of ways where Mahomes has modeled his way after the way he plays after Brady. He was like, he's the GOAT. He's won all these championships. I want to be like that. I don't think he's modeling his game after Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or some like excellent quarterbacks. But it just seems like the way that Brady played and the Patriots played is the way that, Mahomes and Reed play, which is to win the game. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think the defense could play better. Some teachers, I think like you to what you were saying early is I think Baker played a good game.
Hmm.
I think he played great, and he's really found a good spot. Their system, their offensive system is elite.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
think
see how
one
that
thing that
goes.
helps them, and obviously our O line is way better than when they played us in the Super Bowl. but
Mhm.
they have a really good D line too, which means that they were
Mhm.
able to get pressure more often with four people. Which obviously, anytime you do that, you're going to have better success on defense than other teams. You know, um, but yeah, they played a good game.
Okay. Do you think the Chargers or the Broncos is the second best team in the division?
I I still feel like at this point, and I haven't watched a ton of Broncos games. If you had to choose between the two, if both were at their healthiest, I would say Herbert is better than Nick's. At least he's further along, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I think the Chargers are a sense a team that I would feel like if they were all healthy, if they had all their stuff together, they might be better. But also, it's their first year with their new coach versus the Broncos. It's the second year, like so. I think things like that can make a difference. I think the Chargers, to me, even though we seem to actually play better against the Chargers than the other team, the Chargers are the ones that I think could be like sneaky upsets.
Well,
Um,
I think they could shoot it out with us. Is the
yeah.
big deal. Like, the Bills have beat us with shootouts.
Hmm.
Um, the Ravens haven't. I'm trying to think of some other teams. It feels like there's been a couple teams where we've lost in shootouts. Um, and I mean, the Chargers don't really play that way, so it probably wouldn't be like that kind of a shootout, but like
Hmm.
they can go head like toe to toe with
Yeah.
Herbert. And I think, like you said, the quarterback's just the biggest difference. Herbert's been injured pretty recently, I think, and just the team has been dysfunctional with Brandon Staley and stuff like that. I think people forget just how good Justin Herbert is and how he really was talked in that elite tier.
Yeah.
Um, so I
Yeah.
think I think they're by far. I mean, Sean Payton does some stuff. He'll win some games, but it looks so ugly.
Yeah.
And it
And
it really is protecting. He's really protecting his rookie quarterback from mistakes. But the good teams, as you've seen, like when Broncos just got decimated by the Ravens, like good teams will
yeah.
take
And
advantage of that.
like I think Steve Spagnuolo is good at changing things up. But even just if you think about it, like Herbert is going to be better equipped to go against the Chiefs defense just by nature of how many times
Yeah,
he's played against them. Whereas Bo Nix, maybe it's harder to game plan against rookie in some ways, but also he's going to get looks he's never seen before. They're going to do
yeah,
blitzes that have never happened to him before. So
yeah. Steve Spagnuolo does really good work against rookies
yeah.
and just in general. Um, does Mahomes really have the loosest ankles in the NFL, like Andy Reid says?
We were just talking about this in our house, not about the loosest ankles, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming you watched the quarterback show that Netflix did. Did you see that ever?
No, actually, I haven't.
Well, it's worth watching. But
I should have
basically,
watched.
what
Yeah.
Mahomes' personal trainer does is
Mhm.
he basically has him do all these exercises and stretch that put him in weird positions because his trainer's theory is if the first time it happens to you is in a game, you're going to get hurt. And so I don't know if it's like what it is, but it just seems like there was that one time where Mahomes was tackled basically by his shins and he like bent backwards like in the Super Bowl and then he got up and he was fine. And he's like, I don't know if it's just like his genetics or if it's that, but it seems like the training he does with his trainer
Mhm.
pays off. And I
Yeah.
was terrified when he went down there.
Yeah, me too.
But and then he played the rest of the game looking like he does every time he plays on a bad ankle, which is almost like you can't tell.
Yeah, he's really good. He plays through a lot of stuff. Obviously, they just taped his ankles well, and he plays the game. He's not reckless. I like Mahomes' level of aggressiveness as far as like, running, like when he scrambles, stuff like that. I think he understands. The Chiefs understand that him not getting a serious injury is critical for their success.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't. It's hard.
You
You
can't
see people.
spell you can't
What?
spell three-peat without PAT, you know? So
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there are quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson that have. I mean, you disqualify yourself because you got injured at the end of the
yeah.
year.
Hmm.
And you can't. It's like, well, there's no Super Bowl now. And Mahomes hasn't done anything inherently to do that, right? He doesn't put himself in harm's way as much as those quarterbacks seem to. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, uh, so here's a question from Addie. Why did the chicken cross the road?
To go to the Chiefs game?
No, he just wanted some blueberries.
Okay. Makes sense.
Isaac yeah, Isaac agrees. He likes blueberries.
Hmm.
Um, Nora's question. Why did the football player go to the bank? You might be able to get this
I
one.
think is it to get his quarterback?
To get his
That's a
quarterback.
good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah. See, these kids are cool,
Mm.
but
What are
they're
they
also
doing
Chiefs
watching this
fans.
then? You know?
And they've been Chiefs fans, I guess, before they were cool. I don't know. It's hard to like. I don't know if there's
It
like
it
a minimum
raises the
age
question.
requirement before you
Yeah.
can actually call yourself cool. Like if there's something about the definition that requires you to be a certain age.
It raises the question on if coolness is by nurture or by nature, you know? Um,
Nature and nurture. I don't know,
so
but I'm definitely going for nature and nurture just to be safe with training my son to be a Chiefs fan, as I
yeah.
mentioned before, associating with Winnie the Pooh and
Yep.
connecting it now. Oh, the most recent thing is he has a helmet for his scooter and he actually likes wearing it. And we were like, what's going on? He usually doesn't like wearing things on his head. And it's because he thinks it's a helmet. He thinks it's a
Mm.
football helmet.
That's
So
awesome.
pretty cool. Pretty
That is
cool.
pretty cool. Mm.
Good thing he was a Chiefs fan
Yep. Before that. So
before this happened. Yeah. Anyway, so those were the brother wonders.
now, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about general impressions for the game. You know, obviously Hopkins might not make such a big impact in each individual game, but I gotta tell
Mm,
you, that one catch where Mahomes threw it deep to him,
yeah.
he was double covered. If
He
honestly,
grabbed
like
it like
if it
out
was
of the
worthy,
defensive
it would
backs.
have been an interception.
Yeah.
But he just literally like the commentator was like, man, the poor safety probably thought he was about to get a pick, you know,
Yeah, he
instead.
just grabbed it out.
Yeah. It's like,
It's like that's
man,
mine.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a couple miscues, like just the route you think that they weren't on the same page,
Yeah.
but man, he played a heck of a game. And that celebration dance for his first touchdown as a Chief was on point. You know,
That
gotta remember the Titans.
I
So
know. I was
it was
obviously
chef's
because
kiss.
he was traded from the Titans in
Yeah,
case
and he
people didn't
remembers
get that.
that. And he remembers that.
And he remembers that.
So great, which
I
is good
mean,
because that happened two
honestly,
weeks
that
ago.
was a favor to him. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
mad at the Titans. I would be like, I remember you, man.
yeah.
Thank you for sending me to the Chiefs. They
Now
could have sent him anywhere, but they
that's
sent him to
true.
the Chiefs. And
There
now he
was
gets to play for some meaningful games. It's so good. Like
yeah.
that's such a good, when I think of all the picks, like I don't know, Deontay Johnson was super cheap. So maybe, but it seems like he just has a hard time in the locker room or something. Like there's something going on there. Like you don't trade him for basically nothing unless it's like an addition by subtraction, at least
Hmm.
at his current team. Which was apparently an issue with the Steelers, and that's why they traded him. Anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll see. So
Yeah.
maybe, and so having DeAndre Hopkins, who we've talked about, has not seemed to fall off yet. Partly because of how his game works. He's never really won with athleticism. And I was excited to see Mahomes do some jump balls. We
Yeah.
talked about how he's done that with Worthy a little bit this year, but that's just never been really something he's done. He just looks for the separation. Um, but that's awesome. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yep. Yeah, it was a really good game for Mahomes. I think in the first half, his only two incompletions were to Worthy. And some of it was, like Worthy ran that route poorly on that deep ball, right? And
Yep.
his situational awareness was not great.
hmm
But Mahomes played a heck of a game. Kelsey's looking like himself again.
hmm
And it was nice that we didn't have to rely on just the run game to punch it in on every touchdown. Obviously, we won the game on that one, but the offense looked pretty good.
Yeah. No, I mean DeAndre Hopkins had hops, um,
And
and
Kins.
Kins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to see him get a couple touchdown catches. I mean, it is true that matchup is somewhat of a layup as far as wide receivers. So it's not a guarantee that's going to be that nice every week, but
hmm
Mahomes is going to be good. Our offense will be doing great, you know.
And it's a receiver, and I think if Rice was healthy, he was good enough to be this at this point too. But it's like a receiver that they have to respect. It just means that
Mhm.
Kelsey can't get all the attention too.
Yeah,
So
that's what we want. Just to get a little bit of that, you know. It's kind of like we really are just keep pulling in. We talked about this last week, but all the we got Kareem Hunt, we're getting all these players, that were in the system, and then we added DeAndre Hopkins, add a couple pieces here and there, but it just proves that the Chiefs are just a well-oiled machine at this point,
yep.
and we are just chugging away and making even less mistakes than we made in previous years.
Yeah.
Or at least the mistakes are not happening all in like one game.
Right.
Like I think of us losing to the Colts. Maybe it was last year or 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but like you'll have those random games where you just make all these mistakes and you lose to a team you shouldn't be losing to. And we haven't had that. Holmes has been on point. He's playing better. Now he's like kind of the last two matchups, the Raiders and the Bucks have are easier matchups that way. So hopefully it sticks as we look forward to Denver, which is a little bit tougher defense.
Yep.
Um, but I mean, I expect our defense to shut down their offense pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, if they can't run or do short stuff, it's going to be really hard for them.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can kind of do that. I don't do. Did we mention? Yeah, we mentioned the edge rusher Uche
hmm
last time. So that's a nice add at the trade deadline or like before the trade deadline. And I'm pretty happy with the things we did. It would
Yeah.
be kind of crazy. I know the Chiefs were trying to get Marshawn Lattimore,
hmm
but I think it ended up just being a bidding war, and the Chiefs aren't going to win that bidding war.
hmm
The Commanders were needing it more, probably more desperate for it,
Yeah.
quarterback, and willing to pay more because they
hmm
don't have to manage cap the same level as we do with a
Yeah.
rookie
And I think
quarterback.
our our front office is stingier with giving out picks.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's because they've been drafting so well. Why would you want to?
no,
So yeah.
yeah, so much more sustainable. Like again, if you compare them to the Rams, which were an extreme version of it, yeah, they won one Super Bowl, but they're so top heavy. It's really hard
hmm
for them to continue on when they had injuries to Cooper Kupp and Puka. That was a weird ejection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuff like that, though.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good stuff.
I think we should take care of business. Obviously, it's like in one sense, teams tend to struggle within their division, but in the other sense, like we've been dominating ours for a while, and I just think our offense should play better against their defense than I expect their offense against our defense.
Right.
You
I
know?
think it'll be another example of kind of what brother was wondering.
Yeah.
Like I think our defense will play really well and our offense will just play a little bit better than them.
Yeah.
And that's all we need to win, and that's all we need to do to continue being as dominant as we are. And that's probably what we'll do.
Yeah.
So, I
We
mean,
can start that.
I'm looking forward to the time where we just destroy a team. I mean, the Raiders was probably the closest one to that
Yeah.
that we've had, but let's destroy a team, not go into overtime.
Yeah.
That was
Although
silly,
although I only won in fantasy this week because of going into overtime.
right? And
So
we joked about how I only won because Xavier Worthy got -1 point.
yeah.
So I went into
Yeah.
the week thinking, I made a mistake. I should have played Cade Otton as my tight end in a different league, but uh, whatever. I
Hmm.
still got to win in my league with the -1.
Yep.
So that's all right.
All right. Well,
Plug along.
I have to try to figure out how I'm going to watch the game this week because we're getting the Steelers game where I am.
I
Uh,
know. I look if I looked at the map and it's like everything west, including most of Texas, except for Dallas.
yeah.
I'm so annoyed.
It really bothers me that I pay for a streaming service and then you can't
Yeah,
choose which of the games you get during on the streaming service. You're just like,
right.
here's your
Like they
local
black
game.
him out for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
it bothers me.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I'll definitely be following the game at least. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I don't even know like where it was on cable. Like I tried to watch the Raiders game on cable.
Yeah.
It was hard, so I had to like go back and watch stuff anyway.
Well, and then our Christmas game this year's on Netflix, so that's crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
This whole thing is getting out of control, man.
yep.
It's all right. We're gonna just keep being cool. We're uncool, Chief fans.
Yep. Pretty soon you're gonna have to get like the weather app plus to watch an NFL game or something.
I mean, I think it's cloudy with a chance of three-peat, so
Cloudy with a chance of three. I like it.
all right.
All
Well, we'll
right.
see y'all next week after we hopefully continue our unbeaten streak.
Yeah.
Into the
Go for that
last week.
9-0.
Let's ride.
Yeah.